That's true.
Carl, I'm Mr. Trainer, man.
Mr. Trainer, how are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Alrighty, I'm a 28-year-old endurance athlete, and I have some pain on my shins and on the front part of my hip.
Okay.
Some tightness.
Front part of your hip
Yes,
and your
sir.
shin. Okay. You said you're a 28-year-old endurance athlete,
Yes,
so
sir.
you run a lot, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's good to know. So really, what it sounds like to me is your hip, like front of your hip, that's definitely probably gonna be in your hip flexor, which makes a lot of sense. You think you're running, you're lifting that knee a lot, you're driving that knee, especially if you're competing a lot or you're training heavy, like you're gonna be putting a lot of concentric work on that hip flexor there, and that could wear out easily. And it sounds like that's also translating down to your shin as well. Your anterior tibialis muscle there in the front of your shin. That muscle is going to get a lot of work too. When you people forget about it, they think, oh, it's just your calves working. But every time your leg swings out in front of you and your toes go up, that's all anterior tibialis work right there. So there's a couple stretches I want to show you that maybe could help you out with it. So the first one, I'll demonstrate it, and then you can kind of run through it. I'll help you with the stretch and critique it.
Okay.
We'll start with the hip flexor here. So what you can do, you can use props or a wall and stuff to kind of aid you in this as well. But for the sake of our location right here, I'm just going to do it right here unsupported. But so if you go down kind of in a low lunge here, like your knee on the ground, and then if you're tight like I am right now, for example, like you might feel it just sitting here normally, which is fine. If that's getting you a stretch just in a low lunge, right in the front of this, you're gonna feel it in your bit of your rectus femoris here. You're definitely gonna feel it in your iliacus muscle here, right in the front of your hip. But if you can't feel it there, like you're definitely more flexible, looser, you can kind of lean into that low lunge and really focus on an erect body. Like your body's not coming forward or anything, because that's gonna counter it. But an erect body, and then lean in with the hips. So as if you're trying to push your butt and your whole iliac crest, your whole hip forward.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll feel it right in the front of that hip there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing you can do. You can also use a wall to support your back foot if you need it. If you need some support, like you have a stand here or a chair here to kind of keep you balanced, if you can't balance in this position, you can also hold on to those things.
Mm-hmm.
Second one we can work on, there's a couple ways you can do this, but really with the motion I want you to think about. One way that I like to get this motion, it helps if you don't have shoes on sometimes.
Okay.
Because the back of your heel of the shoe might kind of dig in your Achilles. But so kind of come into this sitting position. You also might get a quad stretch too. But instead of your toes pointing inwards, have your toes point straight back.
Okay.
So you kind of have to manipulate your foot there. And then you're just going to lean back and basically try to sit on your heels and let your foot, the top of your foot, flatten out on the ground.
Okay.
So if this is like your foot normally, you're going to have it flattened out with the front of your ankle flush with the top of your foot, or as close to that as you can get. But again, you want to make sure that your toes are pointing straight back, not inwards, because you're not really going to get much of a stretch if you're pointing inwards. You might get the outside of your calf, but we're really focusing on the front of it. So that's one way you can do it. If you don't want to get much of the quad stretch, there's also ways you can kind of lean against the wall too and really get that same motion.
Okay.
And just lean into it.
Okay, should I go and try it now?
Yep, try it. So you go on your knees. If you need to, you can always put a towel like under your knees as well.
Like that?
Yep. And then you're just gonna lean, like really focus on flattening out that ankle.
Okay.
Yeah, and if the quad stretch is a little too much, and that's kind of overcompensating, you can do it exactly like you're doing, where you can put pressure on your hands to relieve your quads, so you can really focus on flattening out the top of the foot and the ankle.
And then you said I could do like a version while standing?
Yep. Yeah, so if you like lean against the wall too, or a chair in front of you, you can do the same thing standing as well, just flattening out that ankle.
Okay.
And then you'll feel it, you can also feel it, some of the tendons that kind of insert into your foot from the front of your calf as well.
Oh,
So
yeah.
those are a couple stretches I think you should probably focus on. Incorporate them after your runs if you need to, before your runs, before bed especially. Like if you have a stretching routine before bed, I would always put those in there.
Okay.
And that should hopefully help with balancing out muscle length and help you recover. So
Great, thank you.
thank you, Carl.
Thank you, Mr. Trainer.